Okay, whenever you're ready.
Okay. I'm going to read a poem by James Wright. We know him as one of the great American mid-century poets, a free verse poet, a deep image poet. This is a poem from his first book. It's called On the Skeleton of a Hound, and he's writing in rhyme and meter, but you can hear, as this poem goes on, the poet he's going to be comes emerging, breaking out from beneath the poem. It's very beautiful. It's called On the Skeleton of a Hound. Nightfall, that saw the morning glories float, tendril and string against the crumbling wall, nurses him now, his skeleton for grief, his locks for comfort curled among the leaf. Shuttles of moonlight weave his shadow tall, milkweed and dew flow upward to his throat. Now catbird feathers plume the apple mound, and starlings drowse to winter up the ground. Thickened away from speech by fear, I move around the body. Over his forepaws, steep declivities darken down the moonlight now, and the long throat that bayed a year ago declines from summer. Flies would love to leap between his eyes and hum away the space between the ears, the hollow where a hair could hide. Another jealous dog would tumble the bones apart, angry, the shining crumble of a great body gleaming in the air. Quivering pigeons foul his broken face. I can imagine men who search the earth for handy resurrections, overturn the body of a beetle in its grave. Whispering men digging for gods might delve a pocket for these bones, then slowly burn twigs and the leaves, pray for another birth. But I will turn my face away from this ruin of summer, collapse of fur and bone. For once a white hare huddled up the grass, the sparrows flocked away to see the race. I stood on darkness, clinging to a stone. I saw the two leaping alive on ice, on earth, on leaf, humus and withered vine. The rabbit splendid in a shroud of shade, the dog carved on the sunlight, on the air, fierce and magnificent. Okay, I gotta back up. The sparrows flocked away to see the race. I stood on darkness, clinging to a stone. I saw the two leaping alive on ice, on earth, on leaf, humus and withered vine. The rabbit splendid in a shroud of shade, the dog carved on the sunlight, on the air, fierce and magnificent his rippled hair, the cocklebird shaking around his head. Then suddenly, the hare leaped beyond pain, out of the open meadow, and the hound followed the voiceless dancer to the moon, to dark, to death, to other meadows, where singing young women dance around a fire, where love reveres the living. I alone scatter this hulk about the dampened ground, and while the moon rises beyond me, throw the ribs and spine out of their perfect shape. For a last charm to the dead, I lift the skull and toss it over the maples like a ball, strewn to the woods. Now may that spirit sleep that flamed over the ground a year ago. I know the mole will heave a shinbone over, the earthworms snuggle for a nap on paws, the honest bees build honey in the head. The earth knows how to handle the great dead, who lived the body out and broke its laws, knocked down a fence, tore up a field of clover. Well, what an extraordinary poem. An argument against taking mortality seriously, an argument against looking for resurrection in another life, but finding in this one those moments when we go to heaven. So in what seems like a very realistic poem, suddenly we're taking off, and in that moment the hare leaps off the earth, the dog goes after, and suddenly the hare leaps beyond pain, out of the open meadow, and the hound follows the voiceless dancer to the moon, to dark, to death, to other meadows where singing young women dance around a fire, where love reveres the living. How on earth did we get to the moon, where singing young women dance around a fire? It's an outbreak of another level of consciousness, a different kind of imagery entering into the poem. And how beautiful, then, that resolution. Speaker scatters the bones, knows what the earth will do with them. The honest bees build honey in the head. And my favorite lines, the earth knows how to handle the great dead who lived the body out and broke its laws. And isn't that what we all do, ultimately? Live the body out, break its laws, go beyond what we should have in order to be truly alive, take the risks of living. But Wright knows better than to end on that note, who lived the body out and broke its laws, and gives us this beautiful downshift, knocked down a fence, tore up a field of clover, so that we're back in the doggy universe here on Earth. It's a masterful poem, and it's extraordinary to me. This comes in his first book, and it seems so accomplished and such a prediction of the poems to come, the scale of this poem, this poet's work, the size of his embrace, how much of living gets onto the page.